Hey guys, welcome to the Liberal Hive Mind, a channel solely focused on exposing the abundant hypocrisy of the left. Well, I guess it felt inevitable. I've been predicting the end of Stephen Colbert's career for quite some time here, and well, it seems we've finally reached that day. And in my view, it's a day to rejoice, but if you pay attention to what's going on across social media right now, the liberal activists, the media types, they're losing their damn minds, claiming it's all part of a grand conspiracy. It's all connected to Donald Trump fascism and PBS defunding. Yeah, somehow Donald Trump defunding PBS got Stephen Colbert's show canceled. I don't know exactly how that works, but the left is essentially throwing a hissy fit, claiming that the cancellation of Stephen Colbert's show is unjustified, it's a capitulation to Trump, it's a political decision. But I'd say it's anything but. It's a logical, rational, justified decision, and it's a decision that frankly at this point, I'd argue is long overdue. Let me update you guys on everything that's going on and of course give you my opinion. We got some stuff to get into, so let's roll the tape. Alright folks, so the show has been canceled.
CBS just canceled The Late Night with Stephen Colbert, just days after Colbert took a swing at his own network for settling with Trump. Listen.
This kind of complicated financial settlement with a sitting government official has a technical name in legal circles. It's big fat bribe. This all comes as Paramount's owners are trying to get the Trump administration to approve the sale of our network to a new owner, Skydance. Some of the TV typers out there are blogging that once Skydance gets CBS, the new owner's desire to please Trump could put pressure on late-night host and frequent Trump critic Stephen Colbert.
The network claims it was a purely financial decision, and Colbert's last show will be next spring.
And now I know the left is acting so shocked and appalled. Oh, this came out of nowhere. But is it really surprising at all? Of course it isn't. We know exactly why his show was canceled. Because it was absolute slop. Stephen Colbert's show wasn't a comedy show. It was the Democrat Party's late-night propaganda event. Every single night running cover for the Democrats, fluffing every Democrat politician that came on his show, meanwhile, attacking Trump and his supporters, smearing conservatives. I think this guy on the CNN panel got it perfectly right.
Massive part of the conversation that's been completely omitted from this, and that is when you do a show that attacks half of America every night, and you don't have conservatives on, and by the way, you're not funny, but attacking half of America and your ratings suck, you might lose your show.
There's a lot of reasons why the Colbert but there's a lot of reasons why the Colbert ratings are not working out that have nothing to do with the political divide you're talking about.
But it's constant. He's having on Democrats to trash Trump. He has constantly been trashing conservatives. He referred to Donald Trump as a Nazi lover in 2017.
You just said that does make half of the country happy.
Right, you alienate half the country.
But you don't need to have the whole country watching your show. You only need half the country. That's a great show.
The problem is he wasn't fun anymore. Why don't Shane Gillis? By the way, why don't Shane Gillis?
Listen. Colbert wasn't a comedian. He was a shill, a partisan hack, pure and simple. His jokes weren't funny unless you were part of the left-wing wine mom crowd. And over time, people started to see through it. They started to, frankly, I think, be disgusted by it. And slowly but surely, his ratings declined. And he went from the king of late-night comedy to not being able to keep up with Greg Gutfeld. But it's funny because if you listen to the leftoids, they'll tell you that Stephen Colbert was doing absolutely stellar. They keep posting this photo showing late-night ratings with Kimmel, Fallon, and Colbert. And of course, Stephen has been leading the charge. But what they don't tell you is that these ratings across the board are complete crap. But of course, they're obviously unable to put it into perspective, and so the leftoids are hitting us with genius takes like this. A successful TV show that's been running for over 30 years is being canceled because Trump's feelings got hurt. What a pathetic country the US has turned into. North Korea shit. Then we got celebrities saying stuff like this.
It's bad. He's a great, great guy. They just cut NPR and, public broadcasting. Yes, they're trying to silence people, but that won't work. Won't work. We will just get louder.
Yep, it's a fascist Trump conspiracy, of course. They want you to believe that the cancellation of the show is some kind of fascistic crackdown on free speech related to the defunding of very trusted sources like NPR and PBS.
So Republicans are about to vote to defund PBS and NPR, two of the most trusted news sources in America, evidently because they don't like hearing the truth, I guess. It's not about saving money. Public broadcasting gets so little, less than 1/100% of the federal budget, but it does deliver really important journalism and education, kids programming, news to every corner of the country, including rural, underserved communities, talking about Sesame Street, PBS NewsHour, All Things Considered. These are public broadcasts supported by the American people and by the federal government for decades. So this, to me, what they're doing is really an attack on the truth, an attack on some of the only nonpartisan institutions we have left.
Two of the most trusted news networks. Well, first of all, just baseline saying that immediately proves to the world that you're a complete ignoramus. And secondly, if that's the case, well then sure, go lead the market with your incredible journalism. Nobody's stopping you. The whole thing is the American taxpayers don't want to be paying for it. There's no conspiracy theory here. No, it's all just common sense. This isn't fascism. It's not a crackdown on dissent against the president. It's a private business that has to contend with reality. Reality is finally catching up. The market has been saying for a very long time, and especially recently, that we are done with this crap. And I think CBS finally got the message. The American people are tired of being lectured to, mocked, and manipulated by these smug, arrogant, self-righteous clowns. And really, I think the most important message here, or the most important point that I'm taking from this whole ordeal, is that this is proof that the entire cultural landscape is shifting. 2025 ain't 2016. The left has dominated culture and entertainment for decades, from late night to Hollywood to newsrooms. They've controlled the airways, they've controlled the culture, they've controlled the narrative. But not anymore. They've already driven Hollywood into the ground. And of course, they've done the same thing to comedy here, right? Late night comedy that turned into moral preaching and constant partisan attacks. Well, sure, that might have worked in the past, but nowadays, as the culture has changed so dramatically, as woke Hollywood is collapsing, and so the writing's on the wall, the culture's going in a specific direction. The Democrats just lost the popular vote in the last election, and their party's in the 20 percentile approval ratings, with the worst number we've seen so far sitting at 19%. I think CNN just hit us with a 28% number, which of course is better, but still collapsed territory. And so the Democrat cultural influence has collapsed, and so when that goes, inevitably Stephen Colbert goes, because that's who he is. That's the whole brand. The whole brand is Orange Man Bad, followed by intense claps.
Orange Man Bad.
The truth is that Stephen Colbert helped poison political discourse. That's his legacy, whether Democrats are willing to admit that or not. He helped divide the country. He made it cool to mock the working class and to slander anybody who didn't vote for the Democrats as being stupid or uninformed. Basically, he was a propagandist who spread nonstop misinformation and vicious political partisan attacks under the guise of jokes. Not only is he not unfunny, but he's toxic, and frankly, the little shtick that he was up to has no place in the world of entertainment, and certainly no place in the world of comedy. You want to do politics? Get a news gig. Start a frickin' podcast. But if you're a late night comedy host, I think we can all agree that these comedy shows should not be so overtly political in such a vicious partisan manner. His entire show is dedicated to being cruel, vicious, and lobbing dishonest attacks against Donald Trump, all Trump voters and Republicans. It was an absolute disgrace, and now that he's gone, now that this era of partisan slop comedy is finished, it's time to rejoice, it's time to celebrate. Now I'm just waiting, hoping that Kimmel is next. And maybe while you're at it, take the ladies at The View too. Anyways, that's pretty much what I got for you guys. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.